This is Death Valley. It's one of the most extreme and challenging environments on Earth. A very difficult place to survive, and even harder place to thrive. These are the racers in the Badwater Ultramarathon. Badwater is held yearly in Death Valley, considered the hardest race in the world. These racers trek 135 miles across 120-degree temperatures across Death Valley. They have a support team of 10 people, a meal plan, GPS devices, an RV following them, just to make sure they're achieving their goals. This is Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley, you get a pat on the back and you get one of these. And believe me, when it comes to harshness, these two valleys are more similar than they are different. I've never been to Death Valley or done an ultra, but I've heard it's extremely rewarding. I have spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley. I've almost lost my soul, but I've lived to tell the tale. Who am I? I'm Krishna. I'm an Aggie. Once upon a time, I was a pre-med student here at UC Davis. I did research at the vet school in genomics. I was published in journals, and I had internships at the UC Davis Med Center. After graduation, I moved out to New York and did research at the New York Academy of Medicine. I would do research during the day and come home at night and do odd jobs on Craigslist. No, not those kind of odd jobs. I would build websites and apps to make extra money. What happened is I started staying up all night and skipping research. And then because I was just continuing to work, I ended up moving back to the Bay Area. I'm the guy who traded med school for the startup life. I'm also a Silicon Valley success. I've started companies. Those companies have been acquired for hundreds of millions of dollars. I've left companies that have gone bankrupt. I've seen millions made, and I've been crushed as I've seen billions lost. I paid a heavy price for my successes, and I've nearly lost my health and my soul, but I've survived. Seduced by the culture of the valley like a moth to the flame, I nearly lost track of my dream in a haze of money, parties, and fame. For a while, I almost lost my health and nearly my soul. This is a cautionary tale about Silicon Valley. You need to be able to handle it. If you can't withstand a few nightmares, don't go there. The system is designed to take people out, and you've got to be able to fail, and fail again before you succeed. But your dream can endure. It can be stronger than your nightmares, more vivid, and ultimately more real, if you know what you're doing. Today, I'm going to show you that training plan, the guidebook and key to helping you achieve success in your journey. The first step is to dream big. Dream big with passion. Without passion, you're just watching other people's dreams become a reality. The world does not care about what you want or deserve. Create value, not effort. That's the inspiring side of Silicon Valley. Oh wait, is that the blue screen of death? It's okay, guys. It's really just the American nightmare. I was living the nightmare even though my company was successful. I got excited and invested all my money into my ideas, but I got bored. But I got bored and distracted by those ideas almost as fast as I got excited by them. I was living the nightmare even though my company was becoming successful. I was becoming a different person than when I started, not in a good way. Once that happens, it's pretty hard to find your way back. I had business setbacks. To dream for my most recent company, to define advertising on mobile, my co-founders and I thought everyone would rush to fund the company. But what we realized is investors thought the market was not big enough. VCs thought the 800-pound gorillas would take over the platforms. No one believed in us. No one thought we would even survive. I had personal setbacks. At times, I questioned my sanity and other people questioned it too. I lacked the support systems when I needed them most. My parents saw my struggles and wondered why I didn't just go to med school. Why was I not doing something meaningful with my life? When would I prioritize having a significant other and a future family? Even success can bring demons. After a while, the only thing I could dream about was getting my fingers on a keyboard and continue to program and code. The first thing I would do when I woke up in the morning is jump on my laptop and work all day. While I was driving to work, I would leave my laptop open on the passenger seat just so I wouldn't miss anything. Then I would come home and jump on my laptop till I fell asleep again. Work-life balance? Not here. I'd count myself very lucky to get in a shower and a meal. Of course, in this age of social media, who had more balanced lives? They were going out, having fun, living the life. I would see photos of people getting married, people having kids. And you would think it would make me second guess what I was doing and stop working as much. Nope, the opposite occurred. I worked more and more to bury those demons with success. I'd tell myself they'd also regret their lives once they see how successful I was. I was addicted to success. I was addicted to winning. I was addicted to work. I was stuck in the rat race of Silicon Valley. If all my friends had supercars, the pressure was on to get a supercar. What I should have done was change the conversation and gotten a Prius. So as I went on this quest to continue to attain happiness, all I did was just continue to work, and I lost myself. I doubled down on work. I'd gone from a human being to a human doing. At this time, I was reacquainted with a girl from college. We started dating. We got engaged. I engineered a solution to my unbalanced life. I too could get married. I too could have it all. Or so I thought. There's a phrase that's repeated multiple times in the Bible. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? What's the point of having your startup thrive if it costs you everything in your life that you can't get back at any price? Your friends, your family, your health, your youth, and your sense of personal integrity, the things you care most about. A few years ago, I ended up selling my last company to a giant in its industry. My coworkers, it was an amazing journey. My co-founders had become my brothers. My coworkers had become my family. The sleepless nights, the battles we fought, were all worth it because we were defining advertising on mobile. The baby we built was soon being dismembered in front of our eyes by its new foster parents. This beautifully engineered platform was completely ripped apart and left to survive and struggle in the wild. Every founder wants an exit, but no one thinks about what happens after that exit. It was unbearable. I had to leave. I had to move on. Life threw another demon across my path. As I left, I thought that I still had the woman I was engaged to. In fact, I thought now I'd have that time to focus on that relationship. But relationships aren't like Facebook timelines or Excel spreadsheets. They're not like work. Our engagement came apart. I came apart. I was stunned. The last week at any job is always bittersweet, but mine was a nightmare. So, I had no job, no fiancé. I only knew one thing, and it was work. For the first time in my life, I had no direction. My game plan was shattered, both personally and professionally. Finding the right person that understands your dream is important. They don't have to have the same dream, but they need to understand it so you can both be successful. Sometimes we think we can address work, relationships, and family at different periods in time, but I found that the real success is maintaining a focus on all these at the same time. So, what can you do about it? I've also learned that even when things get tough, you can still wake up from your nightmare. I fought through the tough times of the valley and survived long enough to see the best it has to offer. In 2012, I hit a turning point when I was invited to a dinner with President Obama. Later that night, I looked at the photo taken as I stood in admiration next to the man. He looked presidential. I was almost unrecognizable. My suit didn't fit, my buttons were popping off. I didn't want to believe it. You'd never know this by looking at the photo, but it's the feeling I had inside of me. I had dark circles under my eyes. I'd been doing my best to suck in my gut, but you'd never know it. I'd finally got a chance to stand next to the president, and I was disgusted with myself. It was time to take a hard look at myself again. I had alienated myself from my family and friends. I had lost connection with the people I loved. I didn't know what was going on in the world because all I cared about was my work. I decided to take extreme measures to get my health back in order. I signed up for an Ironman. Keep in mind, I hadn't been to a gym in 3 years, and I couldn't even run across the street, let alone run a marathon. I started a diligent training schedule. I woke up at 6 a.m. and I was at the gym instead of checking email. I started feeling better about myself, better about my body. I started feeling like it was to be a human being. I never did make the full Ironman. But the goal was not to win a triathlon or necessarily even finish it. The goal was to be healthy again. Of course, it doesn't help that I still love food. The quiet time I had helped me grow as an individual, emotionally and mentally. I reconnected with my roots, my values, my morals. I became vulnerable. There was the inner search to regain the connection to my soul. I became happier with who I was and where I wanted to go. Most importantly, I stopped looking for answers externally. The light bulb finally turned on in my head. The answers were all within me. And then I rolled up my sleeves and got back to work. But this time, I did it differently. I was working from the inside out as opposed to the outside in. Now, I'm starting my 4th company, and I'm doing it the right way. Here are a few lessons that I've learned along the way, and I hope you can benefit from them as well. It just takes hope, strength, power, determination, but most importantly, humility. The lessons I've learned are built around values, health, and priorities. First, I learned my values and stuck to them. I had to figure out what was more important to me than money. To be a successful entrepreneur, you've got to solve real problems for real people and not get trapped by the dogmas of society or the artificial nature of social media. In my case, my values and my sense of my own identity and personal integrity are rooted in the culture of my family. Fair play, empathy, and decisions made for the greater good, not just personal gain. My values were challenged in new ways every day. I made those choices. I did not let them make me. Second, I had to have a plan for handling stress, because we all know you're going to be getting it from all sides. Employees, friends, investors, family. When it all started getting to me, I handled the pain like a true former med student, and I tried to numb the pain. In my case, that meant partying, getting out of shape, stuffing my face with Taco Bell, trying to lose myself, but that was a dead end. When I found myself going off the rails, I made lifestyle changes to deal with stress better. Fitness and meditation ended up being an ideal stress management strategy for myself. I connected my love for fitness and charity by raising money for children's hospitals and rallying my friends through fitness. Beyond the benefits of the exercise itself, there's the feeling I get from being part of a group and experiencing that collective energy, one that isn't tied to my workplace. That leads me to my 3rd point, priorities. I'm not going to pretend that it's easy to be an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. When you start a company, it has to be your top priority. That's non-negotiable. But that doesn't mean you can't have priorities 2 and 3 and create a balance. If I worked anything less than 80 hours a week, I thought I was slacking. Sleeping on my office floor was a sign of commitment. In my industry, women are told to freeze their eggs so they can defer pregnancy until their prime years are past. For parents, you're supposed to give up any hope of ever seeing your kids grow up. Forget about school plays, graduations, and birthdays. That's messed up. Having a top priority doesn't mean you can't also focus on priorities 2 and 3. In fact, an entrepreneur who can only focus on one thing probably doesn't have the right mindset anyway. Your relationships with friends and family are important. Your health is important too. Whatever helps you stay sane and whole will help sustain you through the challenges and struggles of this life. Remember Death Valley? How many people do you think make it across at a sprint without a single stop for food or water? This is an ultra marathon, and you've got to be smart to get to the finish line. Intuit CEO Brad Smith has a great image you can work with. He talks about crystal and rubber moments. Some things you can bounce back from, but there are others that are too rare and precious to be dropped. Have a clear sense of what's crystal and rubber in your life, and create the right mindset around them. So here I am. I made it across Death Valley in one piece. Silicon Valley, that is. I'm stronger now, and I'm smarter. Though I don't have it all figured out. I'm still growing, I'm still learning. The world may seem like it has nothing but problems, but we should all be seeing the world full of opportunities. Do I have regrets? Sure, but the biggest regret would be if I'd never pursued my dream in the first place. We've all seen the best the Valley has to offer and the worst, and it's left us more of a believer than ever. I'll leave you with one last story. A 10-year-old boy was on summer vacation in India. He was a passenger in a car that was hit by a drunken bus driver. He flew through the windshield. He shattered both his arms and his legs. He had glass pieces in his eyes. 2 of his cousins were killed on impact. His grandparents and his brother were severely injured with life-threatening injuries. The doctors called his parents and told them he wouldn't be able to walk again, let alone be alive when they came to India to see him. He refused to believe them. He was determined. He had hope. After 2 months, he began to stand. Then he began to walk. Then he began to run. That little boy was me. I've never lost that sense of both the precariousness of life and its preciousness. You can lose your life at any moment, but while you live, your life is in your own hands, and so are your dreams. Don't be afraid to dream. Just make sure that it's really your dream and not somebody else's. Know that nightmares may come, and be prepared for that battle. If you stay true to yourself, you can and will endure, and you'll feel what it's like to reach the other side of that valley. I've made that trip 3 times now, and I'm just getting started for the 4th. And I've got a feeling this one is going to be the best yet. Thank you.